Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a drama from Iceland, Icelandic language English subs, released in the year 2015, directed by Dagur Kari, and this film is called Virgin Mountain. So Virgin Mountain is about a character named Fusi. Fusi is this mammoth man, very hulking figure, but he's a very gentle figure. He's a very innocent person, and his innocence has really forced him to live in this very little bubble that he lives in. So he works as a baggage handler at the airport, and in his spare time he collects figurines, he collects action figures, and you can feel that he does have the mentality of someone much younger. So he gets bullied at the airport he works in. You know, his innocence is being manipulated by all these horrible individuals, and his mother and father really want him to get out there and meet people, but it's very hard for him. So they end up getting him some line dancing tickets. Now, some line dancing classes, for his birthday. And so he's very reluctant to do this. He doesn't want to do it, but his mother and his mother's boyfriend feel that this is a way he can meet people. So he reluctantly goes to these dance lessons, and this is where he finds a female. Now, this female seems to be a very damaged soul, but she takes a liking to Fusi, and Fusi starts to believe that maybe this is the end of his bachelor lifestyle, and that maybe he can make something of his life. So whether or not that is the case, it's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Virgin Mountain. This is a typical Scandinavian style of film. Now it's a very, very dark film. It's an incredibly depressing film, so be careful going into it because it's definitely not going to make you feel good. This is a movie about a very, very gentle human being named Fusi. Thought his character was absolutely fantastic. He didn't have any anger in him. He's getting bullied. He doesn't react in an aggressive way. It feels like this is a soul that has not been corrupted. He's very, very innocent, and he doesn't know any better. And when he starts to try and communicate with the outside world, his lack of social skills makes him very misunderstood. So he's a character that you can directly like, and the bad things that just happen to this guy and the attitude that he has is very uplifting, but at the same time it's incredibly depressing. I mean, the actual cinematography, it feels very, very dreaded. It just feels like it's almost just devoid of all colour, and you can really get into the mindset of Fusi. This is a guy who wants to find happiness in his life, but you don't know if he's going to find happiness because the movie doesn't promise a fairy tale. A lot of these American films, it starts off as the guy who can't connect to anyone, then all of a sudden he gets a really pretty female and is happily ever after. This movie never promises that, and you never think that Fusi is going to get what he wants. And unfortunately, that is the way of life. That is the way of life that a lot of people want to turn the other cheek to. So the way of life that people feel doesn't exist, and this is why we get comfort from American, romantic comedies. Is that the guy who doesn't get any luck all of a sudden gets the luck and he lives happily ever after, and that gives us comfort. But Virgin Mountain never gives you that comfort. Maybe Fusi will be alone for the rest of his life, or maybe he will find someone. And because you have that doubt in your head, it makes it very uncomfortable viewing without it even trying to provoke you with anything. So I just thought it was a fascinating film, and I thought it was a very, very well made film. It's a very, very subtle movie. It goes very slow, but if you're prepared to really use your patience and go in there with the right mindset, I think you're going to get a lot out of Virgin Mountain, because it will make you think, and it will make you think about how we treat people and how some people, their innocence can be, a very negative thing for them in their lives. Fusi wants to connect to children, but the children's parents think Fusi's weird, so take the children away. And you just think that Fusi wants someone to connect to, but he just can't find it in what is a very cruel world sometimes. And so for some people it is very difficult to get through day to day. And I think Fusi has a great attitude, but at the same time you just think that, I just kept thinking, you poor fella. Because he feels like he's having no luck, but he always has that attitude that, okay, well, it doesn't really affect him, but that's the outside facade. Inside, is it actually having an effect on him? And you start to think maybe it is. And then he meets this woman who's a very damaged person, and their relationship, once again, is very innocent. It doesn't feel like something that you'd seen in another movie where you feel there is something more to it. It's a sexualized a sexualized relationship. There is no sexuality in this film, which ultimately gives you the impression that it's a very innocent kind of film. But then, as I said, you've got the one world of innocence corrupted by the outside world that can be very cruel, and it shows you how powerful that world can actually be. The acting was phenomenal, especially from Fusi. He was the main character. He's the central focus, and I think he did an outstanding job. The pacing of the film, as I said, it's very subtle, but it is very rewarding. I thought there's a little bit of dark comedy in there as well, so it does lighten the mood to some extent, but you never feel good watching this film, so be very careful. But I think it's a very powerful movie, and the way it finished will just make you think for a long time, and you won't be able to get the character of Fusi out of your head. So this is yet again another fantastic film from Iceland, or from the Scandinavian sort of region. I know Iceland isn't officially part of Scandinavia, but it is from that region, and it's just an indication of how good these people can be at, you know, creating a very realistic life portrait of a drama of real people put into these situations, and showing you the dark side of the world and how cruel humanity can be, as opposed to how, you know, happy everything can be in a romantic comedy that makes you believe in fairy tales that don't always happen. So Virgin Mountain is definitely one I would highly recommend if you are that type of person who likes your slow moving dramas, but at the end you feel like you've watched a very rewarding film. And as a result of that, I'm going to give Virgin Mountain 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.